Welcome back to Big Mouth and welcome to the DCEU and everything else daily. Look at this baby. This, my friends, is Euxis, right? Or is it the fully formed Darkseid? I don't know. But look at this art from Zack Snyder. Look at this computer-generated rendering. No one makes things look as beautiful as Zack Snyder does. I could literally look at this all day. It is freaking awesome. He's obviously editing the movie, and doesn't it look fantastic? Absolutely brilliant. That's Zack Snyder yesterday on Vero posting that. Wow. It is a picture of beauty. I can't wait to see Zack Snyder's Justice League. So, Wonder Woman 84 is about 84% on Rotten Tomatoes. Really, really impressive. But it hasn't been officially certified fresh. Now, I don't know if these things bother you. They don't bother me, but it's interesting. Obviously, most of the reviews are positive, with a lot of critics not actually liking the third act. And they didn't like the third act of the first Wonder Woman film. Mostly, they don't like CGI heavy battles. Personally, I love them. I love both the CGI battles, both in Wonder Woman 84, excuse me, and the first Wonder Woman movie. I think they're great. At the end of the day, the superhero has to fight the supervillain. And in many kind of instances in superhero movies, you have to use, computer-generated, effects, CGI. How else do they want them to do it? Do they want superheroes to fight Chewbacca? So I really don't get that complaint. So here's a selection of the reviews. Right, this is from Molly Freeman of Screen Rant. In the end, Wonder Woman 1984 delivers an impressively cinematic superhero experience with the necessary heart and emotional storyline to keep it grounded. It's a well-rounded movie experience and would no doubt benefit from being seen on the biggest screen possible in order to get the full effects of Jenkins' directorial eye. It's a must-see for fans of the first Wonder Woman movie, picking up the threads from the film and exploring them in a new, compelling ways, particularly in regard to Diana's relationship to humanity. Wonder Woman 1984 also epitomizes an optimism that's absolutely necessary in a year like 2020, which makes it an excellent watch for anyone in need of some hope for this winter. Do you know what? I don't think a film needs to be inspirational just because we've had a bad year. By the way, I'm okay with a bit of comedy and fun and inspiration. I'm not criticising that Patty's gone down this direction. It's up to her. It's her choice. But I don't think it was necessary. If this was a really dark, gritty take, I would have been fine with it, and I think most people would have. Critics don't understand what audiences really want and need to see anyway. These people, most of them, are so political and so have no love for film. Most of them don't even like movies. This is the thing, why we're even listening to these people or paying them any attention. But we are. So this is Scott Mendelson Forbes. Oh dear, let's see. This Warner Brothers sequel is the opposite of resting upon one's laurels, especially considering the under pressure still placed on big-budget female-led fantasy flicks. It's a visually dazzling melodrama that has to hide its relative disinterest in superpowered showdowns, again showing that DC Films is a brand where anything can happen. But that's interesting, Scott. Matt Purslow, IGN. Wonder Woman 1984 is a film with a heart full of hope and love and a nostalgic look back to a beloved time that provides escapism from an exceptionally difficult year. The adherence to a more classic superhero template means it is lacking in any genuine surprise or outstanding innovation. I don't agree with that, but this approach is always filtered through Jenkins' contemporary lens, which lends its distinct humanity amongst the 80s and cheese, a notable improvement on its already great predecessor. Wonder Woman 84 is exactly the kind of bright and hopeful movie the character's legacy deserves. Can I just say something? I like Wonder Woman 84, don't get me wrong, but it's not better than the first one, not in my opinion. I think the first one's a quieter movie. I think the movie it does so many things right and very few things wrong. I think the first Wonder Woman film is one of the best superhero films ever made. I don't think Wonder Woman 84 is one of the best superhero films ever made, but it's a very good superhero movie. It's certainly superior to any MCU movie. Wonder Woman 1984, this is from Sean Keen's CNET. It works beautifully as a follow-up to her 2017 adventure, expanding Diana's character and leaning into the 80s with style. It's easily the most emotionally engaging DC Extended Universe movie, with eye-popping action scenes, vivid settings, and a positive message that's a breath of fresh air. They are obsessed with positive messaging. And again, I like the film, I like the positive messaging, but they didn't have to go this direction. And they're obsessed with reality, these critics. It really pisses me off. Justin Chang, Los Angeles Times. This extravagant, genially overstyled, God, here we go, they're obsessed with saying this. This extravagant, genially overstuffed sequel may be a product of 2020, but it spirals free, gratifyingly in sync with 1984. A year that, for all its Orwellian associations, predates the chaos and cynicism of our pandemic-stricken, politically deranged moment. And our comic book movie craze, Tu Jenkins, who wrote the script with Geoff Johns and Dave Callahan, channels a moment when blockbuster imperatives, while hardly absent, had not yet pummeled the industry into submission. This is true. You know, capes are destroying the industry. I love superhero movies and TV shows, but we've got nothing else to watch. You know, we need variety in our movie industry, and it is a frustration to me. Linda Marek, TJC. Patty Jenkins' first film in the franchise proved to be a shot in the arm for Warner's ailing DC Extended Universe. Shut up. Which had until then been forced to play second fiddle to Disney's MCU. Shut up! Whilst undeniably engaging and beautifully acted by Gadot, this second instalment is sadly lacking in the storytelling stakes. Jenkins and co-writers Geoff Johns and David Callahan present an overlong and bewilderingly muddled film which puts the emphasis on all the wrong aspects of the story. Don't agree. Go away. Mary Solisi, EW. Perhaps inevitably, Jenkins herself did not prove immune to the excess that she spent her ambitious 150-minute long movie denouncing. That runtime alone is more than a little self-indulgent. But hey, by the way, Mary, she wanted a 2 hours and 45 minutes movie, so you're lucky you only got that. If this year has taught us anything, it's to give each other a break and to allow ourselves our indulgences. Maybe Wonder Woman will be the one to save us after all. A film can't save you. It can make you escape for a few hours, and it's great. It can't save you, but it is something special that we can all enjoy together. David Rumi, The Hollywood Reporter, the hater of Warner Brothers right now. There's still a lot to love. Gadot remains a charismatic presence who wields the lasso with authority, even tethering lightning bolts in some arresting moments. However, I miss the more hand-to-hand gladiatory aspect of the so many fight scenes in the first movie. Agreed. There's a disarming romantic touch in Diana acquiring the ability of flight through Steve's explanation of its rudimentary principles, but watching her soar through the air while consistent with later editions of the comic also detracts from the athletic leaps that make the character distinctive, turning her into an erratic Superman with a cuter outfit. Oh, God, these people are clueless. Jermaine Lucia, I09. There's so much going on in Wonder Woman 1984. It's almost ridiculous. Different tangents get woven in and out. Everything begins to escalate, and all the while themes of selflessness, hard work, bravery, and optimism are seeded along the way. Sometimes that gets lost in the weeds, but by the end, you finish Wonder Woman 1984 with a nice uplifting sense of hope and the feeling of gluttonous satisfaction. The fact that it was a little too long, here we go, and a little confusing. How can Wonder Woman 1984 be confusing? Are you stupid? Along the way is basically wiped out. Wonder Woman 84 is an enjoyable, engrossing, sometimes to a fault experience that will leave a smile on your face, partially because of the circumstances, but mostly because of the movie, flaws and all. Jordan Callahan, Black Nerd Problems. It's Its earnestness is its greatest strength or biggest weakness, depending on what you're looking for in a superhero film. But if you're a fan of their first collaboration, you'll love how Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot expand Diana's heroism to new places in a new decade. Action broadens to other regions of the world with a bit of historical fiction laced in to add an intellectual sentiment fitting of Diana's history and Barbara's academic brilliance. If you want a sincere holiday movie that appeals to your inner optimist, Wonder Woman 1984 is an easy win. I tell you what, if I hadn't seen this film before and I was just reading about optimism all the time, I must admit it would put me off the movie. It puts me off any movie. I like optimism. I want to be optimistic. But it's like if I wouldn't kind of be that kind of inspired to go and see an optimistic movie. I'll be thinking, is that all I get? It's not just an optimistic movie. There are laughs. Some of the laughs don't drop in this film. For example, they drop the sequence when she's in the mall and she's got she catches some guy and he's like, it's a comedy moment where he's kind of falling to the floor. I didn't find that very funny. A lot of people sitting around me did. So sometimes gags can just fall flat, unfortunately. But the film itself is a very good film, don't get me wrong. What is Wonder Woman 84 trying to be exactly? A poppy capitalist critique, a love story, a missive against comparing yourself to other women? Oh, here we go. The film doesn't seem to know. Throwing so many ideas at the wall in the hope one of them sticks. It's a shame because Jenkins is clearly a gifted director and the cast has a lot of talent in it between Pine, Pascal and Wig. But they feel wasted in a muddled narrative which does nothing in the way of world building or character development. Were we watching the same film? Clarice Lawfully independent. Diana is indestructible in some ways, surprisingly brittle in others. Jenkins' camera is captivated by her resilience as it lingers on adoring shots of Diana in action. Every brazen beat of Wonder Woman 1984 feels like it's arrived to pulverize this miserable year into dust. It's just a good film. That's it. Not about this year. Get over this year. Deal with it. Right. Warner Bros. And those in charge of DCU can breathe a huge sigh of relief. For the most part, critic reactions are highly positive. I know that studios really care about what these bums think. You know why I care what they think? Because I know the mainstream audience care what they think. You see, my kind of agenda is that these films are successful and people like them at the most part. That was problematic with Man of Steel and BVS and some of the others. But I love those films. And they made enough money to keep on going. What happened after Batman vs Superman, the reaction was so divisive and some people loved it, some people hated it, that we got to Justice League and it wasn't the film it was supposed to be. And we haven't seen Cavill's Superman because of these bums' reactions for about 3 years. So these people can be damaging. I believe now that they have lost their ability and power to influence the studio. And that's clear from Zack Snyder getting his Justice League movie. By the way, going back to that shot of Darkseid or Euxus or whatever. Brilliant, wasn't it? Absolutely fantastic. So we did get a bit of fun yesterday on DCFandom.com. And we had Gal, we had Patty. I think I missed the beginning of it because I didn't see Zack Snyder, who was supposed to be there. So there was a lot of people there. You had Chris Pine, Pedro Pascal, and we did see the opening sequence of the movie. Now, of course, I saw it ages ago. Just watching it just reminded me how exciting it is to watch a build-up to a DC Extended Universe movie. That opening is stunning. Lily Aspel is such a great young Diana. And she won me over from the first moment I saw her in the first opening of the first Wonder Woman film. And she does it again. You see the Amazonian Games. You see her with her aunt again, reunited. Brilliant. And she's so a little bit arrogant, like young people are, confident that she can do this. But her aunt, I forgot her name, but her aunt's just trying to warn her, that this is not, ironically so. Again, you've got to be careful. But yeah, the opening is fantastic. So that whole thing on DCFandom.com was brilliant. We had Hans Zimmer. He got the girls. He had Patty. He had Gal, playing the drums or whatever they were doing while he was doing his Wonder Woman theme. Hans Zimmer's got great quality. I can't wait for all of you to hear this soundtrack. I think it's out today. And Wonder Woman 84 has been released in many countries around the world today. For people, you lot in America, you'll have to wait to the 25th. Available on HBO Max and in movie theatres where they're open. But you will enjoy this film. It's a great sequel. It is not the best. Everything doesn't have to be the best ever. It's certainly not the best CBM ever. But as a sequel, it really does work. And the sacrifice Diana makes in this movie is shocking and massive, and you just wonder where they're going to go with it. Scott Edwards has sent me this, and obviously it's a variant of lots of stuff from Arrowverse. It's The Flash, it's White Canary, some great pictures there of them. I think that Scott really likes the Arrowverse, and it's absolutely fantastic to see his passion. So he says, for tomorrow's DCEU Daily, here's a cool fan poster of The Flash and White Canary. I really like their friendship established in Crisis on Infinite Earths, and am excited to them interact more. They are two of the best Arrowverse heroes, in my opinion. Well, we've discussed this before. For me, it's Barry Allen and Oliver Queen. That friendship is awesome, Scott. So he has got something else for me. So look at this. He's got a bit of artwork of Superman and Supergirl, which I'm always happy to show. Don't they look awesome there? Absolutely fantastic. And he's got another one for me. Yeah, this is a brilliant one. This really is cool. And he says, at Movies TV Mad, beautiful artwork of the Cousins of Steel. Love their bond. And my official question for tomorrow's DCEU Daily is, what do you think the future is of Superman and Supergirl is in the Arrowverse and the film universe? I've told you before, I definitely think that Melissa Benoist and Tyler Hoechlin will be on screen together on Arrowverse. She will cross over when her show's over on the Superman show. She may even get her own limited movie or something over on HBO Max. So they do have a big future together. Now, in terms of the DC Extended Universe in films, I believe they will cast a Supergirl. Or it might be Mel Benoist. We'll have to wait and see. And I do expect Henry Cavill's Superman to have a Supergirl alongside him. But we don't know what Matt Reeves, the Batman universe, has got for us. We might see them in that universe in a later date. Matt Reeves might do something with his own Superman, because this is a multiverse strategy after all. So I definitely think they have a great future in front of them. So finishing off today on the everything else portion of the DCEU and Everything Else Daily, I've got one thing to talk about. Tom Cruise was recorded ranting at his crew for breaking COVID regulations. Now, Tom Cruise, listen, Tom Cruise he's an interesting fellow. Look, this is Tom Cruise, one of the biggest film stars of all time. If you compare him to people like Hemsworth and, Robert Downey Jr., he is the man. He came in, he's become a part of this Mission Impossible franchise. It's doing so well for the studio. He's untouchable. So my first suspicion about him calling out his crew is that it's a staged event. It's some COVID propaganda for us, the public. But if this is a genuine moment, and how did this get recorded? Why was this recorded? Always suspect things like that. But anyway, if this is genuine, I can kind of understand his frustration. He doesn't want the movie shut down. Everyone in the industry has worked so hard to be allowed to work during COVID and have these regulations. So, these people are spending lots of money. Tom Cruise himself invests in these movies. But I do think there's ways and means of talking to people, and treating people like shit isn't very nice. But if you've ever been on a movie set, this is how the big stars and the directors talk to the little crew members. So they're all like, we're a family, we're a team. This is how they treat people. It's a very stressful environment. And I think if you've been on a set and been in the industry for a while, you understand there's nothing personal in it. A lot of people say, this is toxic, this is not a good working environment for people. But actually, in the end of the day, sometimes this is the only way you can get your message across. So comment down below. What do you think? Do you think this is genuine, or do you think this was a bit of propaganda from Hollywood? So comment down below. Like, share and subscribe. And I will see you again tomorrow for even more DCEU and everything else daily. See you again soon.